Good evening, everybody. This is the regular meeting of Mayor and Council for Monday, April 23rd, 2018. Please rise for a moment of silent prayer. Mr. Sorrell, please lead us in the flag salute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by posting on the bulletin board in Borough Hall, by email to the Ridgewood News, the Record, and by submission to all persons entitled to same, as provided by law of a schedule including the date and time of this meeting. I'd like to remind all members of the public we have 3 fire exits in the council chambers, 1 on each side of the dais and 1 in the rear. Roll call, please.
Councilman Bartoloni?
Here.
Councilwoman Bastu here. Councilman Panico?
Here.
Councilwoman Davis? Here. President, sorry, Councilman Guerriere?
Here.
And Councilman Papaleo?
Here.
And Mayor Mignon?
Present. Can we have a motion to approve the minutes of Mayor and Council work session and regular meeting of April 9, 2018?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We have no proclamations and awards this evening. I have a motion open to the public for comments regarding items on the agenda.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Open to the public to comment or question anything that's specifically on tonight's agenda. There'll be another opportunity to address the council later in the meeting. Yes, sir.
Joseph Dunsey, I'm in Hackensack now. I noticed the salary increase for the municipal prosecutor from 8,500 to 9,500. Now, I don't know the prosecutor, so that's a very low salary. Is this part-time?
Correct.
Is there another prosecutor?
No.
I think the town should consider hiring him for more hours because I've been to the River Edge Court a few times over the years, and I noticed that there's always a long line to talk to the prosecutor, and most people end up plea bargaining. And when that happens, there's almost no trial for fact-finding. And I know most people in River Edge are pretty honest, but I've learned from my experience in Hackensack that when people are pretty sure that the case will never go to trial, they feel more confident lying to the police if they're in the wrong, and less confident calling the police if they're in the right. And when they don't feel like they can call the police, sometimes they call their friends instead, and their friends will take care of it. So, this can end up creating like a very bad cycle, and I think it's better to nip it in the bud and just budget a bit more for the court system.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have any questions regarding any specific agenda item? Seeing none, motion to close, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have a public hearing this evening. Motion to open public hearing, confirmation of local assessments for curb and sidewalks for the Community Development Block Grant Oxford Terrace Project Phase 2. This is standard practice that the borough has undertaken for a number of years. We have a CDBG grant to do some road and curb sidewalk improvements in a particular area of town, and the adjacent property owners get a slight assessment to cover the engineering fees. So we have a motion to open to the public on this, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Open to the public. If anyone has any questions, comments, concerns regarding local assessments for the CDBG Oxford Terrace Project Phase 2. Mr. Anzavino, any questions? Motion to close the public hearing, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Jim. Appointment of personnel changes. Motion, please, to approve the salary increase of Richard Stevens, 4-person in the Department of Public Works, in the amount of $2,351 from an annual salary of $8,981 to $92,332, retroactive to January 1, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to approve the salary increase for Christopher Leishman, four-person in the Department of Public Works, in the amount of $2,351, from an annual salary of $89,981 to $92,332, retroactive to January 1, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to approve the salary increase of Jason Bolito, four-person in the Department of Public Works, in the amount of $2,351, from an annual salary of $89,981 to $92,332, retroactive January 1st, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to approve the salary increase of Andy Sumaluka, Esquire, Municipal Prosecutor, in the amount of $1,000, from an annual salary of $8,500 to $9,500, effective April 24th, 2018.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to approve the salary increase of Ron Starace, Emergency Management Coordinator, in the amount of $650, from an annual salary of $8,843 to $9,493, effective April 24th, 2018.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to approve the salary increase of Stuart Heinziger, Deputy Emergency Management Coordinator, in the amount of $1,100, from an annual salary of $323 to $1,423, effective April 24th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to approve the hire of Anthony George Nahum as laborer in the Department of Public Works at an annual laborer to step one salary of $30,939 with a one-year probationary period effective April 16th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to approve a one-time bonus payment of $500 to Anna Delia, Camp Director, due to additional preparation and responsibilities in the absence of a Recreation Director for the camp season. The payment of $250 is effective April 24th, 2018, and $250 paid at the conclusion of the summer camp season.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Approve the resignation of Linda Maughan, part-time, very part-time, recording secretary for the Land Use Board, effective April 13th, 2018. She lasted one meeting.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So we're in the market for another recording secretary. We have several pieces of correspondence listed on the agenda. Copies are available through the Borough Clerk's office if anyone is interested. Also on file are monthly reports from the Farmers Market Committee for April 2018 and the Tax Collector for March 2018. We have no ordinances on for first reading this evening. Just one for second reading. Ordinance 18-10. Madam Clerk, please read by title.
Ordinance 18-10, bond ordinance to authorize the making of various public improvements, the reconditioning of the fire rescue truck, and the acquisition of new additional or replacement equipment and machinery, new information technology equipment, new communications and signal system equipment, new additional furnishing, and new automotive vehicles, including original apparatus and equipment in, by, and for the Borough of River Edge in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $2,259,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds, to finance such appropriations, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notice in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds.
And this is just funding the items that we have approved in capital, under the capital budget. Can I have a motion to open the public hearing on this ordinance, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Would any member of the public want to make a comment or ask any questions regarding ordinance 18-10? Seeing no one, a motion to close the public hearing, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? A motion for the adoption of ordinance 18-10.
So moved.
Any more discussion on this? Roll call, please.
Mayor, can I ask a question to the Borough Attorney, please? Mr. Charlo, when were you hired by the Borough?
We have a motion, let me finish.
Excuse me?
We have a motion pending, let me just close.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
You made the motion, Councilman?
I did. And it was second.
Second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Bonaloni?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bastigue? Yes. Councilman Domingo?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis? Yes. Councilman
Gaudier.
Gaudier.
Codier?
Yes.
Councilman Papaleo?
Yes. Resolutions, we have resolutions by consent, Resolution 18-146, 18-159. Would any member of the council like to call for separate consideration or discussion and vote any of these? If not, someone please make a motion to adopt those by consent.
Motion to adopt by consent.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Will our Finance Chair, Councilman Bartoloni, please read and move Resolution 18-160, payment of the bills?
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas vouchers for the payment of goods and services rendered to the Borough of River Edge have been received, and whereas each bill has been checked by the receiving department, approved by the Chief Financial Officer and Borough Clerk, and reviewed by the 3 members of the Finance Committee, now therefore be it resolved that bills as listed now be confirmed for payment from the appropriate funds as follows. Current account, $123,947.47. Capital account, $4,184. Recreation account, $7,111.56. Open space account, $1,551.50. Trust other account, $79,595. Trust other developers account, $4,402.50. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion open to the public, please.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're open to the public. Okay, Casey. Casey, you want to speak?
Yes, I'm just curious when you were hired.
I've been serving in this capacity, I want to say for the last 4 years. Approximately maybe 5 years, but I want to say 4 years.
Okay, lead 4.
At least 4.
Okay. The reason why I asked is, I took this article out back in, probably 2014, where the last mayor and council had stated things that would be done. Thomas, would you hand these out? for me?
Sure.
I think there's enough for everybody to be up there. I'm sorry it's a little dark. The page that I cut out from age ago, they're dark. But it states that on, I think it was in November of 14, that there was an ordinance that was being, or a bonding or something like that, that my attorney's been waiting for an answer on. As of last week, she had not heard from you. Is there a reason for that I can give her?
I will be happy to call her. I don't know what
I believe you have to respond to her in writing if she asks.
I don't know what specific, I will give her a call. I don't know what specifically else she's looking for from the borough. We're updating our plan. She sent us a list of, I'll be happy to answer it again, I did last week. A list of sidewalks, curbs,
Doesn't need curb cuts.
right, that you and her felt should be repaired.
Oh, yeah.
I passed that along to the mayor and council, and they passed that along to their experts, their engineer, their DPW.
Who are those experts?
John Lynch, right, and Rob Costa.
Are they
From a
certified
legal standpoint,
ADA specialists?
from a legal standpoint, there's nothing else for me to do at this point in time. I can't compel the borough to, they have limited funds, and I'm sorry if I speak on your behalf, Mayor and Council, to, they prioritize them, I'm going to assume, and then they're going to do the ones that are necessary. So I speak out of turn, I apologize. But at this point, from the legal standpoint, everything she has needed, I've provided to her. So if she's missing something, I would be happy to provide it to her. You say she needs an answer.
A schedule as to when the sidewalks and curb cuts would be fixed.
So to answer that question, I can provide that to her when I receive that from my client.
A question, because you had mentioned John Lynch, was supposed to go out and make sure of these things.
To the best of my recollection, yes, that's what one of the discussions were you've just been handed 70 sidewalks that a resident and an attorney thought should be or was not in compliance. So to the best, that's what was going to be done. You were going to go out and take a look and see which ones were needed.
Maybe you could take a walking tour with me and I'll show you the ones. You name the day of the week, time.
I'm an attorney, If you show me a sidewalk, to be quite honest with you, I don't know what I would be looking at as to whether it's in compliance or not.
I
That
can
is
show you
not my,
Old-fashioned way.
but that's not my field of study.
Mr. Lynch has done a survey, Mr.
Alan?
Costa?
There were, Mayor, if I may, there were, I believe, maybe 6 or 7 sidewalks that were brought to our attention. And Mr. Lynch and Robert Costa have looked at those. And I'm not sure whether they did it through Google Earth or whether they were physically out there, but we did have a meeting on this very topic a few weeks ago. And I believe we put together some information on it for the mayor and council to consider, you know, each one of the complaints. I don't have it in front of me, so I'm at a loss here, but to the best of my recollection, there was one that might have been a private issue, so, you know, the code enforcement would have to get involved to have the homeowner straighten that one out. There was another one, which I believe a stanchion close to the ramp, and I believe that may fall under some sort of an engineering exception. There was another one that could be reconstructed, but might involve the reconstruction of the other 3 corners of that intersection, so that would involve more research on the part of Mr. Costa. And of course, now you're not talking about 1 ramp, you're talking about 4 ramps that would have to be reconstructed up to federal standards, meaning that you probably have to come back at least 15 feet on these to get the right grade or elevation. So we're talking about budget monies and how to make that available. So there was a basket of you know, issues and problems to try and work through so that we can come to the mayor and council and get some direction on how we're going to proceed and what the priority of each one of
Well,
these is.
that's my question. The 5 or 6 you're talking about now, are they on the original list that Casey's talking about?
I believe they were, yeah. Yes.
So I think we have to just get that
Question
up.
for the borough administrator. Last time I was here a couple weeks back, you said you were gonna be the transition officer. I believe that's the word you used, transition.
Yeah, I am the grievance officer for
Okay.
the borough on Americans
Well,
with
you know,
Disabilities.
when you can start right at the front door, that ramp is not inspect, that thing's about twice of what it should be, if not more.
Yes, I believe we made an application to Community Development Block Grant to get funding to redo the ramp, and that was denied. It may be worth trying to get the grant, the funding again, and failing that, then you know, we'll have to provide an estimate for our capital program to get that
Does everything
addressed.
have to be bonded when we have 4 or 5 million in the general fund?
I'm not familiar with the 4 or 5 million you're referencing in the general fund.
Well, that's what I have been told by, and you know who I'm talking about, Paul,
No, I don't know.
Cecilia.
I'm not familiar with that.
I think he's speaking about the fund balance. No, but we can't just pull money out of there. I don't think
What
that's-
fund?
You can't pull it out of what, the general fund?
Oh, no, the state law doesn't permit us as, schools do have the ability to apply fund balance to their budgets throughout the year. The borough doesn't have the ability to apply its surplus during the year. It can be a revenue in our budget at the beginning of the year.
Okay, this is a question for the mayor and council. What does infrastructure mean on my tax bill?
Mayor, if I may, I believe it does reference the sewer system.
We're charged separately for the sewer system.
No, I think we're obligated to identify the amount of taxes that go towards the.
I believe they're both a deduction, you know, amount that has to be paid as part of my taxes.
It's yes, the sewer, the payments to the Bergen County Utilities Authority are included in your taxes, in the budget. So I think we're obligated to identify that on the tax bill.
Right, okay, I understand that, but what is, you're saying infrastructure and sewer? Well, it can't be both. You know, it just can't be. Well, that's, you're playing both sides of the coin there.
I think what Alan's saying, it's a statutory requirement, like we have to break out the cost or the funding for the library. Sorry?
I can't hear you.
I said it's like a statutory requirement, like we have to show the line item for the library, which is also in your total tax bill, but we have to break it out. The only portion covering, if I'm understanding Mr. Deckard correctly, is what our user charges to Bergen County Utilities Authority. That's a significant number in our budget. It's close to about $1 million a year, so it would be understandable why it would make sense to break that out, because it is a significant portion.
There's no individual meter on your home measuring your usage
Yes,
of the sewer.
it's an even amount between each household,
Yeah.
I would assume.
Yeah, so
It's
it's not,
7%.
yeah, you're not getting
Yes.
taxed both ways on it. There's no
Sometimes we
meter.
do that. We do
Yeah,
that.
we don't do that.
The board does it.
We are getting it that way.
Most towns
You
have
list
water
the
utility.
infrastructure and an amount taken out of my taxes.
Correct. That's only for the BCUA fee.
I'm talking about the infrastructure.
Yes, but that's
There's
not
a
the
number there that is coming out of my taxes.
Correct, and that's the
I've been here
payment.
40 years. I'm not looking for all this work to be done just for me. It's for yourself. And geez, I wish Peggy was here tonight. Because she can tell you, it's hard enough for her to walk around. You know, try doing it with a stiff leg that doesn't bend at your knee. Like a lot of older people get when they got bad knees or bad vision. I have both.
We're finishing our transition plan, and then we'll buy whatever.
It was done before I even started. The minds
I've
were
never
already
seen
made up.
No, that's not true.
As soon as I walked in, I looked over towards the borough attorney, he immediately went like this, oh no. The look, he's the look, because you knew where I was going.
I have no problem
And
answering
Casey, the
questions.
project that you gave us for this article, this has been done. It's been done and completed. The issue with the CDBG money is you're not allowed to upgrade.
That's along Fifth Avenue, correct?
No, there was Kinderconnect and somewhere else. But the issue was that with CDBG money, you cannot modify existing ramps. You can only put new ramps in where there are none. So it's very difficult to get grant funding for, let me finish, please.
Can I
It's very
explain
difficult to
the
get
law?
grant funding
I'll
for
explain you
this.
the law right now. When you paved Fifth Avenue, every one of those ramps had to be redone, so it was blend, the transition would be perfectly smooth from the ramp to the blacktop. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's the law. Same thing with the sidewalks, it's the law. Title II. Free and clear passage. Very few streets in this town are free and clear. You know, I'm down here, I think I wrote in my email to you the other day, that I don't want to really ride this one at night. I have no lights.
Mhm.
I'd rather ride the other one. I can't get in through those doors. There's a woman down there, as I was coming in, she pushed the button to go in. Her son almost got caught in the door because it closed so quick. That, and it's not wide enough because of the way they have the hinges on the door. Why they made that type of door, I have no idea. They should have done it like a supermarket. You walk in, you hit the mat, the door opens up. You walk out, the door opens up, and if there's a fire or emergency, it should have a crash bar like the schools have. Every hospital and rehab place that I've been in for the last 20 years has those type of doors. The real good places have electric eyes. That when you come into it, it opens the door, and on either side.
That might be something community development may,
Who signed off on all these jobs? The ramp and the doors. Who signs off on that when it was done? Granted, the ramp was done, the doors were done, what, about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, Alan?
I would have to look it up, but that block grant has to approve the final, the block
The
grant
council.
representatives who gave us the money to do that door would have to have done a final inspection and approval.
I really wish somebody had called me, so I could have made my opinion on it. Because, you know, you guys do not know what it's like to try and get around like this and compete with cars on the street. You really have no idea, you know. Even with lights, headlights, taillights, four-ways, I have cars coming within 6 inches of my mirrors. You know, it's not the greatest feeling in the world when you're sitting there like this. But I have to get around. You drive a car, I cannot. The state just refuses to give me back my license. I have no idea why. But, you know, I'd really like to see something get along with what she's been trying to get done for the last 4, maybe 5 years now. Because I've been coming to these meetings talking about these ramps and sidewalks since 2007. The first time I got one of these chairs. And I have seen nothing. The only sidewalks that have been touched are the ones down from Howland North on the east side of Fifth Avenue. Not St. Peter's side, the other side.
We,
And there's some of those ramps that are not in spec either.
that's a matter of interpretation, and yes, there is. And I'm telling you, I just went to another one-day-long seminar with the county and
On
people
what?
from Trenton.
On this?
Yes, on the standards for the accessibility ramps.
And I assume you came out of there certified as an ADA specialist?
No, but I'm a licensed professional engineer, so yes, I'm qualified to design ramps if I so choose
Okay, I
to.
can point out on the new ones, every one that is not in spec, just by
Correct,
looking at
but,
it.
but
I'll
what
put it in
spec
6
means,
inches.
and I don't want to get into technical discussion, spec does not mean what you're saying it is. And there are allowances given based on conditions. If you have a 10% grade on a street, you can't have a compliant ramp, no matter what you do, unless you built like a Lombardy Street, thing like in San Francisco. You know, a street in San Francisco that's up and down?
No, I've never seen that.
Okay, well, it's quite famous. That's what you'd have to do to get up the really steep slope like that. The
I
federal,
guess you gotta think out of the box, like you
Well-
told me about the lights that I believe Alan was speaking about before, or maybe you were, where it was in the middle of ramp down at Lincoln Avenue.
Alan mentioned that about
When you told me that, I just laughed. You're not thinking outside the box. Instead of planting them on the sidewalk, plant them down on the area between the curb and the sidewalk. You build a block and you level it out to what you need to hold that pole up. You gotta think out of the box. You know, it's like when they put the lights in down there at KVG. They didn't just put a piece of concrete on the grass, they went down,
correct.
and then they leveled it out to the surface.
But
that they
again, I
needed.
don't want to get into technical, that's actually a county road. They installed the light. There's issues with, if you can actually, I don't think there's sufficient room in that clear space you're speaking to, but that is something that is considered. The one thing we were looking at that intersection, to be honest with you, is doing a curb bump out, because we have a grant to do sidewalks down that way, so that is under consideration. The other ones, we did the ones we,
What bump out?
bump out, yes.
What's that?
You extend the curb out, so you'd have two functions. It'll give you passage around it. It'll also make the crossing distance less. So it would be easier for pedestrians to cross over there, because that's a very, particularly wide
I think we got it.
crossing, and it's also a high pedestrian volume crossing just near the train station.
I think it would be a lot cheaper and probably easier to do it, like I was saying, to build a platform just for each stanchion. You know, for the right angle, so it hangs out over the street and it's supported enough in the ground, rather than bumping out the sidewalk and a curb.
Bump outs are a recommended and a very often implemented improvement for these situations.
You know, I've seen them too. A lot of them don't work.
I don't know what that means, because they work because there's sufficient width, and then they narrow the crossing distance. So they do work.
Maybe up there it would work, but I can point out a town where it does not work.
I'm sure you can. I can point out times when things don't work either. But we did address some of the initial, the worst case ones you had brought up several years ago. I know we did that for a fact, because I was on this council at the time. We've done every other one that we've been able to do in terms of when we had funding, and we'll continue to do it. We always put some money in our budget for sidewalk improvements, and maybe that's something we'll look at for this year, once we get make some final recommendations from John Lynch and Mr. Costa.
Okay, do you know if John Lynch is certified ADA? You know what
No, but
class
but
he went
it's easy to tell if it's not meeting the spec. If you have, particularly sidewalk, it's more than a quarter inch, everybody knows.
Am I using it wrong, or are you using it wrong? You just used the word spec.
Yes, there's specification that if it's more than a quarter inch in a sidewalk separation, you're supposed to
Not
mitigate
separation lift.
separation, whatever you want to call it.
However you want to look at it, you know, if it's a lift or a straight space.
It doesn't have to be lit because it can sink, so it's not necessarily lit. It could be a tilt, but anyway,
Totally
there's,
missing.
yes. Sorry?
Or be totally missing, like a couple up on Fifth Avenue.
And some of that's gonna have to be,
Monroe.
and some of that would have to be,
Was it Greenway, goes Monroe to Greenway, I believe?
yes.
In between there, there's a whole 2 slabs that are missing. I'll never forget when I saw them the first time.
Yeah, well, some of that might have to be referred to Mr. DeRosa in property maintenance, but we'll take every approach that we have to take to address what we can.
Shouldn't
as
they
we can
be
do.
on doing their own footwork rather than somebody get hurt and have to report it then? Shouldn't they be out? Mr. Costa,
Well, that's what a transition plan is.
Rosa, he's what, the property maintenance?
Yes.
Okay. Shouldn't he be out there inspecting these things ahead of time before somebody makes a complaint?
You can, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna be fixed, because the process, if he gives them a violation notice, they don't do it, then they have to go to court, and then, so it could take a long, long time. So that's not necessarily the best way to do it either. I know when we have, COs, and probably Mary can speak better, that they require the sidewalks to be brought into compliance when we have COs. House across the street from my house right now, got sold, and they just ripped out the whole sidewalk and replaced it to get that property to close. So they're picked up that way, and believe me, we're not the only town in this position. Every town in the state is in this position. Every town probably in the United States has issues with this. So,
Two that I know that are not. Belleville, Illinois,
mhm.
and Sacramento,
Yes,
California.
well, Sacramento was sued back in the 19 whatever, and they spent
In
billions of dollars with a B. We cannot afford billions of dollars.
$20 million to fix the stuff, and then $20 million every year after that to keep it in spec.
That's more than our budget.
And now it is.
Your budget went up under 2% this year, and no increase in tax levy. So, anyway, Casey, we're sorry?
You wouldn't?
No, I said the budget went up under 2%, and the tax levy did not go up at all this year. There was no musical increase in taxes this year.
My taxes went up.
Well, it wasn't for the municipal portion.
Couldn't tell you which one it is right now. I don't have it.
Well, I can tell you, it's not municipal.
Wasn't us. Wasn't us.
Wasn't us.
I keep saying that, it was you.
No, it wasn't us.
You always
It
say
was
it's
not.
not me.
It wasn't
No,
us.
really,
We control
wasn't us.
25% of your tax bill, and it did not go up.
Yeah.
That 25% did not move.
You don't have control over the school?
No, they're a separate
School board.
municipal body.
yeah, that's the school
You have
board.
2 separate school
So
boards.
basically, they have a free reign.
Well,
No,
no,
there's
they do not. They
limitations.
have elected officials who oversee their budgets just like we do.
And they have state limitations as well on their.
There's caps and there's things that they can do, but that's, we can't,
I don't know if I had mentioned it in that email I sent you, but going up the ramp at Roosevelt, the ramp that they have to get into the front of those doors when you
Mhm.
vote, at the top, when you gotta make the left to go parallel to the front of the school, that turn, I can make it in this one, but I don't like riding this one.
then you need to bring it to the attention of the superintendent's office and let them, address it. Then we have no, that's school property. We can't do anything about the school property.
Every other Wednesday. They have, the first and
On
third.
Tuesday, you'll ask for a hamburger.
Well, I'm just saying, their board meetings are every,
I think the next
on
one's May
Wednesday.
2nd.
Yeah, so,
When's that?
May 2nd,
The next one?
I believe so. And I believe that they're going to be introducing the budget.
You what?
They're going to be introducing the budget.
Don't be calling me a budget buster. Mr. Sarlo? Yes, I really appreciate if you can get the council and the mayor moving along on this, so you can return the letter that she's requested from you for 5 years.
Mr. Sarlo will respond.
Yes, I'll respond. All right. Thank you. I got my 30 seconds on fame, non-fame in, right?
You can speak as long as you want, Casey. I'm never gonna tell you not to speak, so you know that. I said, you can speak as long as you want. I'm never gonna tell you not to speak, so I'll give as much time as you want.
Anyhow. You figure out a way to stop me, tell my wife.
Anything else? No, okay. Mr. Dunsay?
David, I'm saying 446 River Edge.
About 1979, Judy Sussman and
Kathy Howland, proposed the River Edge Run, and it took off and was very successful, and people really had a great time. At that time, it was primarily River Edge residents. In the late 1980s, the run stopped. A brief hiatus there, and the Centennial Committee, in 1993, in preparation for the Centennial, suggested as part of Centennial that we reinstitute the River Edge Run. And we did, and the year after that, Recreation, after the Centennial year, Recreation took it and ran the rest of the way, and it's run ever since. And it's been a highlight of the year, has a lot of sponsorship and a lot of participation, and in that there are several road closings that take place or isolated where the run runs. For the last 18 years, the Cultural Center, which is an outgrowth of the Centennial Committee, has raised money by having the car show. And it's primarily due to the car show and the monies we get from that, that we have now had over 400 events that we have hosted that have been free to the residents of River Edge, from art shows and concerts and theater, and the only way we can do it is this way. Over several years we made requests to expand, because aside from the fact that the car show is a fun event, it attracts a wide number of people, and has grown and grown because of the quality of the show. Our capacity was 230. Last year, we had 300 cars come, and 70 of them were turned away. The equivalence of $20 a pop was $1,400, which translates into a little bit more than 2 concerts. We run 18 events this year. We don't charge for a single one. We've never taken any money. Everything is either supported by membership or by the car show, and those are the primary sources. In January this year, I forwarded an application for the car show. I met with Lieutenant Walker, who was hoping that, there was a person assigned to this, but it wasn't yet approved. But I met with Lieutenant Walker, and we went over the detail as we had in the years past, when he was the community liaison person. And he understood the problem, and we talked about various safeguards and lessons learned. And he suggested that we request Memorial Park, South Lawn, Veterans Park, and Elm. He said, Pete, quite frankly, you're not going to get all of those, but there's a good chance that you'll get one of them. I said, I much prefer the paved surface, because we don't have to worry about what would happen if it rains on Friday or Saturday before. But he says, look, let's see what happens. So I modified the application I had to include those areas. Okay. I received a phone call from Lieutenant Casey about 9 or 10 days ago. And he went over each of the items, and he did the interview properly. And he said that, I asked him what might happen. He said, well, he's going to forward it to the chief. I received back this weekend the written response, and it says, no parking of vehicles within Memorial Veterans Parks. Web Avenue cul-de-sacs to be used for visitor parking only, no show cars. Continental Avenue Road closure between Elm and Fifth Avenue to begin at 7:30 and configured per the attached diagram. Detour route for Continental Avenue per the attached diagram. No parking on the west side of Elm Avenue south of Continental for 200 feet to allow emergency response vehicles parking. All vehicles paved on paved areas only, no parking on grass per borough ordinance. Parking of no more than 33 vehicles within the River Edge Public Library lot. Elm Avenue will not be closed.
So it's the same as it was
It's the
last
same
year?
as last year.
Well, not exactly.
Yes, we gave you a waiver to park on the lawn at the cultural center last year. And
Right.
I would presume that the police department would probably be willing to consider that part again.
Well, they didn't.
Well, did you ask?
Actually, in the conversation, it never came up.
Well,
But in this letter, it precludes.
because
Neither
they're
did
not
the
gonna offer
library
it.
come up.
They're citing the borough ordinance. If you want to ask for a waiver from that, you certainly can, and then the chief will have it at his discretion, how we did it last year.
And in part of the conversation with Lieutenant Walker, he said, this fall, thereabouts, it's kind of anticipated that ground will break for doing the work for the new building and the parking area. And that the lawns there, basically, are going to cease to exist as they are. And it's all going to be renovated anyway. He said, I don't see why you shouldn't be able to use the lawn area in the vicinity of the Legion to the extent to where the renovation is going to take place. It was a total surprise after the conversation with Lieutenant Casey, because he asked the questions, but I had no idea of what the final answer was going to be until I received the written request. We start planning for the car show in August, and that's why it's successful, because we work very hard at it. We're 25 volunteers. We need to communicate with a mailing list of 500 people who come to the show. We have 50 local businesses that support us. We have vendors that come a decent distance, and many of these cars come from quite a distance to come here. The businesses in town support it, and it's a mutual thing. We let it be known that they are supporting
No one is disputing that. I think everybody would agree it is a good event. The question is, can that area support the additional cars? And apparently, based on visual observation, they know it can't. And the police have made the determination that they don't think from a safety standpoint it couldn't either. So
Right now, there are more than 33 spaces at the River Edge Public Library.
But there has to be access aisles and things like that. You have the same number of cars.
No.
You're offered the same plan every year.
Not exactly.
Well,
The library
for
restriction.
the 7 years I've been up here, it's been the
Okay.
same.
The library restriction has, was not discussed
For which, I'm sorry.
in the interview. It was not discussed.
I'm sorry, I missed what you said. What was
The library. The number of cars to park at the library was reduced to less than the number of spaces. Right now, you could park more cars in there than the 33 cars. And they
There's about
restricted it.
there's 37, 38 spaces. You couldn't pull all those cars. Now you have to make a maneuver at that point. You want
Park
to
in
use
the
it for
parking
display.
spaces.
There's not enough room to open the doors and everything that these people do when they're showing their cars. We need space.
Okay, that's our problem.
But it's a safety issue.
I understand that.
So you're
I understand that.
And that's not arguing to have with us, okay? That's
What I'm
police
asking,
department.
first of all,
And you know the Recreation Commission is responsible for the park stuff. We have no jurisdiction on that.
I
And
understand.
we've gone through that many times already.
Yes. And we're requesting that there be some way to bring about a resolution of this, someplace to budget. We can't lose the spaces at the cultural center because that is another 17 spaces right there.
And we gave those to you last year, and I said, I don't think there would be an issue doing that again this year, unless, you know, as Councilman Bartoloni, who's police liaison, I don't know if you've had any discussions with the department on this, but we certainly bring it back to them.
I mean, I did, the chief was of the opinion that you were getting the same amount of space that you had last year. I will talk to him about the parking on, in and around the greens of the cultural center. But in terms of parking in Veterans, you know, Park and Memorial, that's the Rec Commission. Parking on the greens in Veterans Park, if you're talking, I don't know where specifically you're thinking, but most of that is not being touched by the construction, so.
This is trees.
Yeah, it's trees that are there, so you couldn't park anyway. But, you know, in terms of everything else, it's, you know, it's the same. I mean, and maybe the police department was a little off on the parking spaces. Maybe they were miscounted. I don't know, but I'll find out about that. So.
We make an application in January, and receive an answer in the middle of April. It's very hard to be able to plan and tell people what we're doing.
But Mr. Johnson, come on. You know how many spaces you're allotted every year. You know, you said you get 200 cars. If you're making the argument that the 6 spaces in the library parking lot are the difference, that I don't think we're gonna see, that's not your crucial number there. So if you get the 17, like you're saying, around the Culver Center, then the only deficit you're talking about from last year would be ultimately 5 or 6 cars, if that was the case.
There were cars at the library that were reduced, and there were cars at the cultural center, 17 at the cultural center.
And I'm saying you'll get those 17 back, presumably.
Okay.
And if you reduce to 33, the most you'd have in there, it has to be 36, 37. There aren't many more spaces than that in that lot anyway. There's certainly less than 40 spaces there. That I know because we've been looking at it from the community center design from the beginning. So there's less than 40 spaces there now.
Okay. As far as Elm is concerned,
That's a police decision, and I'm not going to recommend that be changed. I'm not sure if the council would want to make that recommendation either.
I mean, I spoke to the chief, and he was adamant about this, that it's a safety issue, that's their route, and
I think we had
this
it's not a
conversation last
hearing,
year.
but we had this conversation last year. and-
With the chief here.
and with the chief here, and we questioned the chief
Yeah.
as to why his reasoning for doing this, and I think everybody felt that the chief explained it in such a fashion that it made sense, and we have to defer to his expertise. I don't think anything's changed from that.
Yeah, and the chief could not be here tonight. He's at Cherry Hill. There's a school safety seminar that he's participating in over there, so he couldn't be here tonight to
the logic that he has in the diagram that he has takes cars on the detour from Kindercamac and Continental to Elm and Continental, turns south and runs down Elm to Adams, and then up Adams to 50, turns north to Continental, and turns left back onto Continental. The same route, basically in distance, and the same number of turns. If it was from Continental turning onto Bogart and turn right onto Adams, would be the same difference as far as the detour route is concerned. Actually, it's somewhat a little simpler. In regard to the amount of closure, the closure would be between on Elm between Continental and Adams. There's already presence on the intersection there, because that's the gate to the show at Elm and Continental. At Adams, that would be an additional item, yes. we have the volunteers, we'd work with them, we'd be willing to do whatever necessary. We left an emergency lane, similar to the emergency lane that is on Continental, for the ambulances to be able to pass. And it's the same logic associated with it.
Fire truck's a lot bigger than an ambulance. That's the
Yes.
difference.
And how much closer to where you're
Which
having
would
the
be
show?
the path of the
And,
fire
and,
truck.
we're not gonna make this decision here anyway, so detour routes, those are determined by the chief of police. So there's nothing more that we can say on that. The other issue I know that happened last year, I know there was a lot of, concern at the start of the show, because you had a lot of cars show up at the same time, and they were stacking out onto Kinderkamak, which I know the chief was concerned about last year. And he was trying to work with you to get a smoother,
And we
entrance
explained
plan.
that apparently it was a breakdown in communications internally between the interview and the people that were present that day. We knew the plan, we executed the plan, it worked very well. We have a working relationship with the church, and the safety valve was the church. And when traffic backed up to the church parking lot, then we set it in motion, and the cars circled into the church parking lot, and they stacked there to take the pressure off so the line wouldn't go back any further towards Kinderkamak Road. And that worked out very well. There was some panic because people that were there had never been told about the plan internally within the police. And when the police came, they said, "We're doing the plan." But then it became obvious, they didn't know what the plan was.
and what was the plan in previous years?
Same thing.
Oh.
Go into the church parking lot. And that works
That's
out
not
fine.
unusual. So,
Generally, it's about 10, 15.
You're a victim of your own success.
yes.
You've overfilled the arena that you want to play in, the concert's oversold, and you gotta turn people away. I mean, that's, if you were, having a
Somebody
concert
travels.
somewhere and your
Somebody
stadium's
travels.
filled, you can't,
Somebody travels a
somewhere to-
long way to come here.
Well, you don't have
And
to
you-
registration either, do you?
We have early
But
registration,
you let
70
people, but you let
vehicles,
people register the day of the show.
70 vehicles registered early. Most car people, they won't go if they want to see what the weather's going to be, is it going to rain, or whatever, so they hold off. We have a rain policy that if they register this year and it's rained out, then they're automatically registered for the following year. But only about 25% of the cars avail themselves to the early registration. It helps, because we have a pretty good idea of the index of what to expect. So we have a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of River Edge residents are already registering for the show. I spoke to Mr. Hartman today. He's so enthusiastic he wants to volunteer. And I don't know what to say. We were hoping that we'd get more support from the borough itself, because the businesses certainly do support us. And the two items, one is a timely response. From January to April was not a timely response. And two, that we somehow use the space that is there so that we can, because it's not that the space isn't there, the space won't be granted. And we should be able to work that out.
This has been going on for many, many years. It's the same arguments every year. Nothing has changed. And the police will determine what the safety requirements are and how that affects your layout. And the rec commission determines what the policy is with regard to the park area. Nothing's
Okay.
changed.
I won't take any more of your time. We hope to see you all at the car show.
We will. I'll be there. I know I'll be there. I'm not saying, I don't think anybody will say that it's not an enjoyable event, it's not a great
I
event.
go every year.
It is, Council said it right. I mean, it's just, you're too big for that area now, in terms of what the borough feels can be, accommodate what you want to do with it, but also provide sufficient public safety. And there doesn't seem to be a way to, eliminate that concern, as far as the police are concerned. we can always bring it back up with the rec commission, with regard to the parking at the time, but as far as the chief goes, I think, again, I don't think anybody here would be inclined to overrule the recommendation of chief of police.
Thank you.
And on that,
I'll leave it to the council.
I'll speak to the
out of
chief
turn.
about the parking, the number of parking spaces, if there was a reason for 33 versus what you represent is 38 or 39 spaces, I'll be happy to
And
speak
as
with him about
about
that.
the waiver.
And the waiver, yeah,
We had that last year.
yeah, and which, so I'll speak to him about those two issues.
I don't even doubt what applies to that property.
No, I don't
It's our
think so.
property, but
Yeah.
that's another story.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Rosso? Motion to close the public,
So moved.
all in favor?
Aye.
Comments? What is that last one? Oh, Councilwoman Davis.
Just like you?
No, you could, let me get the stuff.
No, I meant our side. I'm sorry,
No, you.
not me, myself, our side.
Thanks for dissing me.
Yeah, take it or take it. Okay, attended the Little League and the Regal opening day ceremonies, which was great. It's amazing the number of kids that are involved in both. It's a great event in town, and it's great for the kids. As a realtor, that's one of the things that I push. No, I'm serious, how wonderful this town is for the kids. It's great. We had a farmer's market meeting on the 17th, and the applications were emailed to last year's vendors. We were expecting 8 of those to return, and we have 1 new one so far. The market manager that we have is, her husband is a vendor, so they go to all of the big events that they have, you know, like the Meadowlands and every place. So she's constantly going up to people and asking them, so that's a good way. So far we have 1, hopefully we'll get more. We would like to order some new signage. We'd like to put one at the V on River Edge Road, where the council signs go. And somebody is working with the schools to see if we can get permission to put on the fences. There's a question about the sign, the permanent sign that is down on the south end of town. Can that be moved at all?
Yeah, the one that's behind the river.
It's the one that's behind the big River Edge sign.
It
I can't
used to be
believe
higher.
that the-
No,
Yeah.
wasn't it? No, it's the same height, but.
No, it just wasn't obscured by the
I thought it was
Yeah,
higher.
absolutely excuse.
It might be able to be made higher, I mean.
Yeah.
I can't believe that the River Edge Run people didn't go crazy. But they even had a bigger sign than Farmers Market would have, so that was a question as to
I'll
whether.
speak to John about raising or moving the sign.
Yeah, I was gonna go down and see him, but I didn't wanna overstep my bounds.
You wouldn't.
So you'll check him on that.
Yeah.
It looks like even if it could be put back or just over a little bit, but
Or
that.
to
That's not gonna make it more visible, it's
No,
too
the
low.
River Edge
Yeah, I
sign
think,
it
sounds
just-
right, it's gotta be raised.
Yeah, something has to be done. So if it's been done before, I think it's June 5th, that would be great. Also, River Edge Fire Department, on April 20th, they responded with a ladder truck and an engine to a house fire on Garden Place in Oradell. And again, yesterday, they responded with a ladder truck to another house fire in Oradell. So, they've been very busy in helping the other towns. They did not qualify for the radio grant. There were a little over 10,000 applications. So, they're still waiting on the grant to, replace the rescue truck. We haven't heard on that yet. And, River Edge Ambulance, for the first quarter, they've responded to 171 calls, which equates to 235 man-hours so far this year. And EMS week is May 20th to the 26th. And River Edge Ambulance Corps is the only completely volunteer service in the area. So we're very, very lucky. See how long that lasts, but the members really put themselves out to cover the calls. But they are to be complimented. I'm done, thank you, Mayor. That's probably it for the year.
That's all right. I wrote it down.
Mary, when do you need this done by?
Well, the market opens the first Tuesday of June, so
You want a couple weeks
preferably
before.
before if we can. You know, like
Late May.
mid-May would be wonderful.
Councilwoman Steve?
Thank you. Also, Little League and Regal were fantastic opening days. I believe this is going to be Ken Krautheim's last opening day, so I want to thank him for his many, many years of the leadership of Regal. The River Edge Run was another successful event. I want to thank all the sponsors, and the participants, the volunteers, and most notably the Recreation Commission members who ran that run seamlessly in the absence of the Bobby Conway in her retirement. So thank you very much to all of them. Our new rec director was there to witness the day, so that was great. She got a good taste of River Edge event, which was great. The Green Team held their Second Chance Toy Drive last Saturday. Well attended, and they gave new life to lots of plastic toys, which is fantastic, and kept them out of the landfill. So thank you to Bonnie Stewart and the Green Team. The Environmental Commission, I mentioned last week, kicked off their Trex Challenge, which is the plastic film recycling, trying to collect 500 pounds in 6 months. So far, from one location, in 5 days, they've collected 20 pounds. So that's pretty good. A lot of ShopRite bags being donated, so that's great. So keep up the good work, and that's it. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Leo?
Hey, Mayor. Met with Beautification Committee on April 12th. They're in the process of planning for the spring. They've actually already begun working, but we're going to have a big planting on the 26th or the 27th of May, on Memorial Day weekend, 9:30. We're all going to meet and try to get that done. Bob Don Diego has made it his job to water at the library throughout the summer. We want to thank him for that. Kimberly Mitchell, who's a landscape architect for Bergen County, we've been in contact with her for taking some of the trees from the tree farm. The committee is considering a fundraiser. They're thinking about maybe a Joyce Farm fundraiser. They're going to be looking into that. The pots on Kinnicamack Road did not do well last year due to watering issues. So the beautification is considering what would be a low water grass, a decorative grass surrounded by silk flowers as a way of beautifying Kinnicamack Road. The committee has asked me to speak to Alan about a few things related to which I'll reach out to him and I'll report back to council when Alan and I have had a chance to talk. Shade Tree Commission met on the 19th. They did their normal work. There was one incident with a resident who removed the tree without permission. They considered that after I left as to what that fine should be. I also went to the Little League and Regal and Green Team event. It was great to be there. I was regrettably not able to go to the River Edge Run due to a prior obligation. I'd like to just say that I am always amazed at how many of our kids are involved in our town. I think Mary's right. This is what makes our town so great. Thank you.
Councilor Orlando?
Thank you, Mayor. Just on some of the committee type stuff, a vendor for the video service was here on Friday, and I should be getting a quote, another quote. I already have one. Should have a second one hopefully tomorrow, he's told me. So we're getting closer and closer to making that a reality where we will have streaming and television as well. I don't know if the mayor wants to talk about the community center at all, during his report.
We're waiting for Mr. Costa to finalize
His numbers. Yeah.
And I do hope that'll be done before the next meeting.
Yeah. So hopefully that'll be done very soon, and then we'll try and schedule Kurt to come in, our architect, to have a discussion with us about the plan. Obviously, we're, Little League opening day in Regal. I think it's let's see, Abby's in 5th grade, so this is I think my 6th year coaching Regal, and in my 3rd year coaching Chloe. So I always love it. It is great. The kids are fantastic. I love doing it. And hopefully next year I can start on baseball too when my little guy gets to kindergarten. So, no, it's a great day, and we started off our season tied 11-11. Monster comeback in the 5th. We were down by 8, and we tied it up. No, looking forward to a great season. So, that's
Go to you.
Thank you, Mayor. I too attended the Little League and Regal opening day. This is my 1st year coaching for Little League, and actually next year I may be coaching for Regal when my daughter reaches that age. Great event. I would also like to mention I attended the River Edge Run. I actually participated in the run, and I was able to finish and be able to make it here tonight, so I'm pretty proud of myself. I should also mention on Saturday I attended the caregiver fair at the county, and this fair was to give information on the resources and programs available to people who care for loved ones or neighbors in their community. So if anyone would like any information on that, feel free to contact me. Thank you. Thank you, Mike.
Last but not least.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too was at the opening days for both. I think I started in Regal back in 2006, I want to say. So I've been coaching for a long time, and my little one just came back into the program. So my wife's doing softball. I'll do basketball later this year with Regal, and of course I'm involved with baseball as a coach for my son's team, and a lot of fun there. The events were awesome, and we got a nice day for it too. After a very, very long and arduous winter. Otherwise, unfortunately, I missed the River Edge Run, but my wife and kids were there, and they said it was terrific. I was taking my daughter up to Boston to see a school. Boston U, go Terriers. She's committed. She's going to Boston. Otherwise, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Again, just thanks to Ken Crowden again for all his service to Regal. He's been in that organization literally for such a long time. I'm sure he'll still be around to help as needed. And same with Ron Berninger, Little League. He's done an excellent job for a number of years also. I always say you can't run these now they're institutions in this town without having the people keep backfilling as people age out. So it's good to see everything like that continue. Toy Drive, I have been there for a little while on Saturday. Thanks for Laura Hookstraight, Marie Papaleo, and Maureen Noble. I don't know if you're going to go there earlier that I missed, but they were there for bulk, and special acknowledgement to Maureen's daughter Megan, who was the toy counter that day, but I did not get the official number. But I do have a picture of the truck that was packed with the stuff, so another successful event for them. Arbor Day events are this Friday. I will be out of town, so if anybody's available, I think Cherry Hill is at 10 and Roseville's at 2. 10 and 2. So if anybody can go, obviously that would be a nice thing to attend. I'm also looking if anybody wants to participate in the mayor's kayak challenge this year, because I'm certainly not doing it. So it's Saturday, June 2nd. If anybody wants to represent the borough, let me know, and I'll give you all the information.
I do kayak.
Land Use Board, Land Use Board, we had one application of note, which was significant development where the Christine Valmet spa is. There's going to be a new Austin Court mixed use, its office, and it's going to also be another salon type business on the lower floor. And my understanding that we'll be hearing another proposal for development at the Batting Cage site. So that's something that we'll be looking forward in the next month there. Councilman Bartoloni mentioned about the TV. I think we finally got to the right people at Verizon, because again, I'm looking at that blank space for a year now, and they were supposed to have run that initial wire from outside a long time ago, which was my understanding that they did, and this was the only piece we were waiting for, but either way, it seems like it's in the right track now, so hopefully they'll be in here shortly to finish that up. And first thing, Councilor Canego mentioned earlier, the school board, River Edge School Board is having their budget introduction on May 2nd. They did invite us to attend if we wanted to, so if anybody's free. We have land use board meeting that night, but if anyone else is free and wants to attend, we did get an invitation to be there if we should want. And I guess that's all I have tonight.
Mayor?
Yes.
Just got a response from Superintendent Lynch. Pipes are in concrete footing. We have moved this multiple times. I would suggest everyone look at this so that it can be determined exactly where to place it. So if anyone would like to join me sometime this week or this weekend to determine where would be a good location, let me know, and we can go down and find a location that would be visible and also that Superintendent.
John, we have like maybe a couple of PVC pipes or something, so you actually could, hold something up to see what the visibility is.
Okay, so you,
It's just higher, right?
But I think you can, I would stand where 7-Eleven is and see where you get the visibility, because if odd sight lines there with that traffic control cabinet in the island and stuff.
if anyone is interested, Mary, if you guys are interested, let
Give me a little bit of time on
why don't
Friday.
you text? No, we can always do it next week.
I'm gonna be out of town.
John is good. If we
Yeah,
ask
no,
him to
he
do
is.
it, he'll get it done in 3 days. So sometime in the next 2 weeks, maybe you and I can just pop down there with John.
Okay.
Okay. Text me when that can good for you. Yeah.
Yes.
I forgot to mention that I had mentioned before, the Environmental Commission is participating in the bi-state cleanup on Saturday along the Kundra-Kamak corridor. If anybody's interested, meet at KDG Park and they'll distribute the supplies.
And just June 14th, looks like it's going to be the date where the third graders are going to come for the tour around 8:45 in the morning. So, all right. So if anybody wants to be here, I usually do like a little presentation, have them sit up here and pretend to be whoever in the borough. They go to the police department, and last year we actually had the fire department. So if anybody's around.
You were running late last year because I came here.
I wasn't running. They got here late.
Thank you.
They got here late.
I came here and I waited about 8 hours and I said, I never got to work.
You get a couple hundred third graders over here.
I know, but I did try. I did try.
Yeah. But
Who else did that
it's fun.
Cherry Hill too? Or was it just Roosevelt?
I have only done it with Roosevelt,
I've done it for
because I know Miss Campbell over there, she organizes it, but I can
Girl
reach
Scouts.
out to.
I did it with the Girl Scouts. I know the Cubs were here once.
Yeah.
But you may want to see if,
Yeah, I can reach out to Cherry Hill as well. See if they're interested.
they actually, at one point, I don't know who the teacher was, they actually made the kids, or they did make the kids, memorize our names. And one of the women said that I was the bane of her existence because her daughter couldn't say my name. And I thought it was so easy. I said, I thought it was great that they're actually, explaining to the kids that there were actually real people here who do this. So I think they may.
Yeah, I'll reach out to
benefit
them.
from it too. Anybody else? Seeing nobody, motion to adjourn, please. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
So